Ladies, and even the gentlemen listening from the shadows, have you ever felt this strange silence when you meet someone for the first time? Like the world pauses, like time folds itself to create a small space just for two souls to recognize each other? No, that's not a fantasy. It's not some fairy tale from an old dusty book. It's how God whispers to you. Look closely. This is the one I sent for you. You see, your soulmate doesn't arrive with flashing lights or warning signs. God is far too subtle, far too elegant for that. He shows you gently, mysteriously, like the scent of rain before the storm, like the first light that touches your face before you even open your eyes. But here's the catch. Most people miss it. They are too busy chasing temporary faces, shallow pleasures, pointless validation, and in doing so they walk right past their soulmate without knowing. But you, yes you, who is listening right now, you are different. Because today, I will reveal to you the 6 ways God silently shows you your soulmate. And once you know these, you'll never again be blind. Because the truth is not hidden. It's just unnoticed. So, if you've ever wondered, how will I know who's mine? If you've prayed at night, God, please send me a sign. If you've questioned, why is it taking so long for my person to find me? Then darling, this message is your answer. Stay here. Stay awake. Because after today, you will see with new eyes. With God's eyes. The eyes that see beyond beauty, charm, money, or status. The eyes that see souls. Let's unlock this mystery together. God sends you mirrors, not masks. This is a truth people often forget while chasing love, relationships, and companionship. In a world where people are busy wearing masks, pretending to be what they are not just to impress. You must understand that your true soulmate will not arrive in disguise. They come to reflect you, not to cover themselves. Have you ever met someone who made you uncomfortable? Not because they were cruel, but because they saw parts of you that you had long buried. That is the mirror. Not everyone who enters your life is meant to make you smile. Some are meant to show you your scars, your fears, your untold truths. Like the best friend who suddenly confronts you about the way you always sabotage yourself in relationships. That's a mirror God sent. You may hate them in the moment, but later you realize they were holding a reflection you refused to see. When God sends you your soulmate, they don't play games. They don't pretend. They make you face your flaws as much as they celebrate your strengths. Imagine this. A woman has always been independent, self-sufficient, never trusting anyone deeply, because life taught her to protect herself. And then she meets someone. He sees right through her strength, straight to her fear of vulnerability. He doesn't let her run away. He calls her out, gently but firmly. That is God's mirror. He sent this man not to break her walls, but to make her see them. So many people think love should only feel good, but God designed love feels real. It feels like that uncomfortable but liberating moment when you stand before a mirror naked, not to judge, but to finally accept. Your soulmate reflects your truth. Like the colleague at work who annoys you because they speak the things you dare not admit, the fear of failing, the fear of being seen small. Why do they trigger you so much? Because they are mirroring the battle you fight inside. And sometimes God allows that very person to stir you, to wake you up. Even in friendship, this mirror shows itself. A girl who always sought approval from people suddenly finds a friend who refuses to flatter her. Instead, this friend challenges her, tells her hard truths, and encourages her to validate herself. She might be irritated, but deep down, something shifts. God's mirror worked. It made her see where she was depending too much on the outside world for worth. Think about that relationship you couldn't escape from, even when it was tough, draining, testing every ounce of patience. Maybe you thought he was the wrong one. But what if God sent him to show you how low your boundaries were? How little you valued yourself? What if that pain was the mirror so you could see what you needed to heal before the real one arrived? This is how divine love works. It heals you through reflections, not illusions. You see this in family too. The mother who constantly doubts your decisions makes you doubt yourself. Why? Because deep inside, you haven't believed fully in your own strength. She's a mirror. The brother who mocks your dreams shows you where you fear ridicule. He's a mirror. It's not about the people. It's about the lessons God wants you to face. Mirrors make you grow. Masks make you blind. A mask wearer will tell you only what you want to hear. But God doesn't work that way. He wants you to rise, evolve, transform. So He sends a soulmate that shakes you awake, not lulls you asleep. Like that partner who sees your anger, your softness, your ambition, your laziness, and makes you confront them all. Because until you face yourself, you cannot truly love or be loved. And sometimes you meet someone who finishes your sentences, who understands your pain without you explaining it. This is not magic, this is recognition. God placed that mirror before you to remind you of who you are. You are not seeing a stranger, you are seeing the parts of your own soul that you forgot. This is why it feels familiar. This is why your heart knows before your mind does. Life sends you mirrors so you can become whole. Every argument, every compliment, every tear, they are part of the reflection God wants you to see. Because when you finally recognize yourself in another's eyes, you will realize your soulmate was never meant to complete you. Your soul feels peace before passion. This is the language of the divine that most people miss, because the world teaches you the opposite. You've been conditioned to believe that love must begin with fireworks, with racing hearts, with sleepless nights and restless minds. But that is not how God operates. When God sends the right person, your soul does not panic. It rests. It feels calm. It feels safe. Because true love does not create storms, it quiets them. Imagine a woman who has been in toxic relationships all her life. Every man she met brought chaos into her world. Texts that made her anxious, calls that left her guessing, silences that felt like punishment. And then, one day, she meets someone different. His messages are simple but consistent. His calls are kind, not controlling. His words don't make her nervous. They make her breathe. And for the first time, she wonders, why am I not overthinking? Why am I not doubting? Because her soul knows. This is peace before passion. God does not send confusion, He sends clarity. Think about the girl who always dreamed of big, grand love, flowers at her door, endless surprises, endless drama. She thought that meant love. But those relationships exhausted her. Until she met a man who was gentle, simple, uncomplicated. No games, no mind tricks. She didn't feel obsessed. She felt still, whole. It wasn't the butterflies in her stomach, it was the calm in her chest. And she finally understood. Peace is God's first sign. Passion comes later, naturally. not forced. The world told her love should burn fast, but God whispered, real love feels like home. This happens in friendships too. A woman moves to a new city, lonely, unsure, and meets two kinds of people. One group dazzles her, parties, flattery, fake promises. They make her laugh but leave her empty. The other person, a quiet soul she meets in a bookstore, listens deeply, asks real questions, offers no charm but gives real attention. Which one brings her peace? The quiet one. Because God teaches that the soul's ease matters more than excitement. When you feel rested, not restless, you are closer to truth. In family, this shows up as well. Some relatives demand, compare, criticize, and drain you. But there is always that one grandmother, that one elder who simply smiles at you, accepts you and sits beside you without speaking a word. And you feel loved without effort. That is peace before passion, the soul's language. The energy that heals you, not excites you to exhaustion. Even at work, this principle plays out. A person desperate for a job chases companies that promise big salaries and wild perks. But every offer feels wrong, uncomfortable, forced. Then comes a quiet opportunity, a smaller firm, a humble offer, but it feels right, peaceful, exciting in its calmness. The soul whispers, this is yours. The mind hesitates, but the heart rests. God's hand reveals itself again. Peace first, blessings next. Think of that man who chased women who dazzled him with beauty, status, attention. They made his heart race, but left his spirit drained. Until he met her, the quiet one, the simple one, who made no effort to impress. But with her, there was ease. No fear, no tension, no guessing. He could simply be himself. And in that peace, desire was born naturally, slowly, like dawn after darkness. His soul knew this was different. This was safe. And what about that woman praying for her soulmate? She thought he would appear grandly, like a prince. But instead she met a stranger in a coffee shop, holding the door for her, smiling kindly. No flirtation, no pressure, just kindness. She didn't feel sparks, but she felt warm, relaxed, understood. She forgot her script. Her soul breathed deeply, and that was the sign. She almost missed, because the world screams for passion, but God whispers, peace. But then comes the script that God whispers peace. Even in arguments with your soulmate, the peace stays. It's not about never fighting. It's about feeling safe, even when you disagree. Like the couple who can argue, but sleep side by side peacefully. Because peace is the foundation. Passion builds on it, but it cannot replace it. When God writes your love story, He writes it with serenity first. He does not begin with storms. He begins with sunshine. The kind that wakes you gently, not blinds you. That is how your soul knows. That is how you feel peace before passion. Unplanned, unexpected, yet deeply familiar. That is exactly how God sends the person meant for you. You won't see them coming. You won't be prepared. You won't be dressed in your best or standing under the perfect light. No, when God chooses to cross your path with your soulmate, He chooses the most ordinary moment to reveal the most extraordinary connection. Because divine plans don't follow your schedule. They follow your soul's readiness. A woman may be standing in a grocery store on a dull Sunday afternoon, wearing no makeup, tired from a long week, simply picking up milk and eggs. And there, while reaching for the same carton, she meets eyes with a stranger. There's no music, no dramatic scene, no reason for him to stop and smile, except for the silent whisper inside that says, "I know this soul." And in that moment she feels it, not a spark of nervousness, but a wave of recognition. Like meeting someone from a dream you forgot you dreamed. Unplanned, unexpected, yet deeply familiar. A young man, tired of dating apps and failed conversations, decides to stop looking. He focuses on his life, his work, his health, his peace, and one day at the airport, delayed and frustrated, sitting by the coffee shop, he strikes up a casual conversation with the woman sitting beside him. No intention, no strategy, but every word feels easy, natural, as if they've spoken for years. Her laugh is not new to his ears. Her smile feels remembered. How is this possible? Because the soul remembers what the mind forgets. When God introduces you to the right person, your spirit recognizes them before your logic can catch up. It happens in friendships too. A girl moves to a new city for college. She's afraid, lonely, missing home. On her first day, she bumps into another student in the hallway. Books drop, apologies are exchanged, laughter follows. And within minutes, they're talking like old friends. They finish each other's sentences. Their stories overlap in strange, beautiful ways. This is not coincidence. This is God's quiet design. No searching, no planning, just divine familiarity, waking up between two souls. Even family reconnections hold this truth. A woman estranged from her cousin for years suddenly meets him again at a wedding. Time should have made them strangers, but when they hug, it feels as if no time has passed. Conversations flow easily, memories resurface, like they were waiting all along. Why? Because true connections do not wear out. They sleep in the soul, waiting for the moment God chooses to wake them again. A man dreams of building a business but feels lost, lacking a partner who shares his vision. Then one day, while volunteering at an event he almost skipped, he meets a stranger who not only shares his dream, but completes the parts he cannot do himself. Their ideas fit together, like puzzle pieces. Their energy syncs without effort. And as they talk late into the evening, they both feel the same strange thing. Have we met before? Is this destiny? The answer is simple. This is God's arrangement. Unplanned, unexpected, yet familiar in the deepest way. Sometimes it happens when you meet a child. A woman who could not conceive for years finally adopts. The moment the baby is placed in her arms, she bursts into tears. Not because the baby is new, but because the baby feels known. As if she had waited lifetimes to hold this soul. This is how divine connections feel. Not fresh, but ancient. Like a story paused and now continued. Even mistakes lead to this kind of meeting. A man takes a wrong turn, misses a train, enters the wrong cafe, and meets the love of his life sitting there, reading the book he loves. They talk, they laugh. And he realizes that the worst moment of his day led to the most important meeting of his life. God's surprises often wear the face of accidents, but they are perfectly written in his plan. It happens in silence too. You lock eyes with someone across the room. No words, no smiles, just a quiet knowing. A sense that they are part of your story, though you've never met. This feeling is not madness, it is memory. Soul memory. Because what God joins, He prepares long before the mind is aware. When it is right, when it is divine, the person will not feel like a stranger. They will feel like home you forgot you had. No fear, no awkwardness. Just familiarity wrapped in surprise. Like walking into a house you've never seen, but knowing where everything is. Like waking from a dream only to realize it was real all along. This is how God brings soulmates together. Not through plans or effort, but through the magic of the unexpected that feels deeply, wonderfully familiar. Growth, not comfort. This is the silent message God writes into every relationship, meant to change you, elevate you, prepare you for your higher self. The person God sends into your life will not let you stay the same. They will not lull you into sweet, sleepy comfort where nothing stirs your spirit. They will challenge you, break you open, stretch you, sometimes even frustrate you. Not because they are wrong for you, but because they are right for your growth. And growth never feels like comfort. A woman who has spent years hiding her dreams, too afraid to speak of her ambition, suddenly meets a man who looks her straight in the eye and says, "Why are you playing small? Why are you afraid of your own power?" He doesn't flatter her. He doesn't soothe her insecurities. He confronts them. At first, she feels defensive, uncomfortable. He doesn't think she's comfortable. But later, when alone with her thoughts, she realizes he is the first person who has ever seen her truth and dared her to live it. That is growth. That is divine discomfort, leading to her becoming. A young man who has always avoided commitment meets a woman who will not accept half-hearted promises. She wants depth, truth, accountability. She demands he step up or step away. At first, he resents her boldness, but something inside him awakens. Maybe he was meant for more than casual flings and broken connections. Maybe he can be a man who holds love with both hands, not with fear. She doesn't let him stay weak. God sent her to make him strong. Growth, not comfort. This happens in friendships as well. A girl who always chose to please others meets a best friend who calls out her people-pleasing ways. "Stop apologizing for existing," her friend says. "You deserve space. You deserve to speak." The girl feels embarrassed, but later when she stands up for herself for the first time, she realizes her friend wasn't being cruel. She was being sent by God to push her toward courage. Real friendship grows you. It does not keep you small. Even in careers, this divine principle moves. A man stuck in a safe, dull job prays for a breakthrough. And God sends him a boss who is demanding, who raises the bar, who refuses excuse. The man feels stressed, tired, tempted to quit. But slowly, skills he never knew he had begin to emerge. Strength he didn't believe in comes to life. He becomes more than he was. This boss is not his enemy. He is the hammer God is using to shape his iron into steel. In family, this lesson appears too. A mother who refuses to let her child settle for average. She pushes, questions, challenges. The child complains, "Why can't you let me be like the others?" But years later they realize she pushed because she believed in more. Because God placed that voice of ambition in her heart for their sake. Growth hurts before it heals. Romantic relationships that come from God will test your patience, your selfishness, your fears. A woman used to controlling everything meets a man who demands trust, surrender. She feels vulnerable, unsafe at first. But slowly she learns to let go, to trust another soul, to open her heart fully. This scares her more than anything, but it also frees her. Because love is not about staying in the safety of walls. It's about tearing them down. A man who fears emotional intimacy meets a partner who asks for depth, for real conversation, for raw truth. He resists. It feels unnatural. But the more he opens, the lighter he feels. The love grows richer. Because God never sends a soulmate to make you lazy in love. He sends someone to make you brave in love. Even strangers can become agents of growth. The taxi driver who questions your life choices, the barista who comments on your constant phone checking, the child who asks why you never smile, all of them mirrors reflecting where you are stuck. Growth shows up where comfort wants to keep you asleep. Comfort is easy, but growth is beautiful. It shapes you into the person you prayed to become. God does not answer prayers by making life softer. He makes you stronger. The person you meet by His design will never let you hide from yourself. They will inspire you to rise, to risk, to reach higher, even if it costs your old ways, your old fears, your old limitations. Because the right person comes not to complete your comfort zone, but to destroy it and build a new world where you finally become your true self. Signs you cannot ignore appear everywhere. When God is preparing to send your soulmate into your life, the universe begins to whisper. The signs are subtle at first, gentle, like ripples in water. But the more you ignore them, the louder they become. Until one day you realize you cannot escape these divine hints. They are woven into your daily life, your routine, your random moments. Because when something is meant for you, God leaves clues you cannot miss. It starts small, like hearing the same name over and over again. You switch on the TV and there it is. You scroll through your feed and it pops up. You walk into a bookstore and it's on the cover of a magazine. Coincidence? No. It is a nudge from the universe. A reminder that someone, somewhere, is being prepared for you. Or maybe already standing close, waiting for your awareness to catch up. A woman once dreamt of a city she had never visited. She ignored it until one day, her work transferred her there, and on her first morning walk, she met the man who would become her husband. The dream was the first sign. She just hadn't understood it yet. Sometimes it's repeated numbers, 1111, dot 222, 333. You keep glancing at the clock, at receipts, at room numbers, and these patterns follow you everywhere. They don't speak a language of words, but of energy. They're the universe's way of saying, stay awake, something is unfolding. A man kept seeing 444 for weeks. Later, he met someone whose birthday was April 4th. Their connection was instant, magnetic. He knew this wasn't luck. It was the sign that led him here. Songs become signs too. That one love song that won't stop playing wherever you go, at the cafe, on the radio. Even random Instagram reels. You smile because the words feel like they are speaking directly to your soul. A girl once laughed off the song that haunted her days, but on her first date with her future partner, he casually mentioned that it was his favorite song since childhood. Goosebumps covered her skin. She realized God had been playing this melody to prepare her heart. Dreams are a doorway to these signs as well. You see a face you've never met in reality, but the image stays with you. Later, on an ordinary day, you meet a stranger, and it's the face from your dreams. Chills run down your spine. Your mind may forget, but the soul remembers. A woman dreamt for months of a tall man with a specific tattoo on his arm. On a random train ride, she sat beside him. Their conversation lasted for hours. Their love grew fast. The dream had not lied. There are moments when signs appear as feelings you can't explain. Like a sudden urge to take a different route home. Like the unexpected pull to visit a new coffee shop. You don't know why, but you listen. And there you meet someone who changes everything. A man almost cancelled his gym session, but went anyway, and met the woman who would later become his wife. He thanked God silently for the restless feeling that pushed him out that door. Even delays can be signs. The flight you missed, the job you didn't get, the friendship that ended without reason. All disappointments that at the time felt like failure, but were actually redirections. A woman cried over a lost opportunity abroad, only to meet her true partner at the local bookstore where she worked during the time she would have been away. What she thought was a failure was God's perfect plan disguised as disappointment. People too become signs. The stranger who speaks a truth you needed to hear. The Uber driver who tells you his life story that eerily matches your own. The child who smiles at you like they've known you forever. A man sat beside an elderly lady on a park bench. She turned, smiled, and said, "He's coming soon, be patient." He didn't know what she meant, but 2 weeks later, he met the woman who became his wife. That random old lady, a divine messenger in disguise. Sometimes your body reacts before your mind does. Your heart races, your skin tingles, your gut says, "Pay attention." You feel awake, alive, alert, without knowing why. A woman once ignored these feelings, brushing them off as nerves. But the moment she listened to her intuition, she avoided a toxic relationship and stayed open for the one meant for her. Her body had been whispering the truth all along. Even silence is a sign. When everything in life slows down, when friends disappear, when distractions fade, it feels like loneliness, but it's preparation. God clearing space so your soulmate can enter without competition. A man wondered why he felt isolated, disconnected from the world, until he met her, the quiet soul he had prayed for. And suddenly, the silence made sense. It had been the sacred pause before the divine arrival. The signs are everywhere, on walls, on license plates, in books you randomly pick up, in the words of strangers, in the eyes of people you barely know. When God is speaking, the entire universe becomes His voice. You cannot ignore it, you cannot escape it. The signs will chase you, gently, lovingly, until your heart finally opens and your soul finally understands. They honor your spirit, not just your body. This is the difference between temporary desire and eternal connection. Anyone can compliment your looks, your smile, your shape. The world is full of people who will chase what they see on the outside. But the one God sends for you will see the part of you that cannot be touched, cannot be measured, cannot be dressed up. The soul. They will be drawn to your essence, to the person you are when the makeup is gone, when the lights are off, when the world stops watching. A woman spends her whole life being praised for her beauty. Men want to take her out, to show her off, to hold her hand in public. But none of them stay to hear her fears, her dreams, her late night thoughts. Until one day, she meets someone who does not start with her face, but with her mind. He listens to her ideas, her wild visions, her crazy plans for life. He asks about her childhood, her pain, her joy, and for the first time, she feels seen, truly seen. Because beauty fades, the soul remains, and he loved her soul. A man with power and wealth gets attention everywhere he goes. But the woman who changes him is the one who doesn't care about his car, his money, his status. She looks at him and asks, "Are you happy?" Are you proud of who you've become? No one ever asked him that. Everyone wanted his success, his shine. But she wanted his truth. His spirit woke up. For the first time, he felt like someone loved the man, not the mask. That is God's sign. When someone touches your spirit, not your surface. Friendship too carries this lesson. A girl who always felt invisible for her mind, but noticed only for her looks, meets a friend who never compliments her clothes or hair, but says, I love the way your mind works. I love your ideas. You make me think. That friend was sent to remind her that her spirit matters more than her face. She shines not because of her shape, but because of her soul's light. Even in family, this truth appears. A daughter who struggles with her body image cries in secret, wishing she were prettier, thinner. But her grandfather holds her face and says, you are wisdom. You are kindness. You are strength. That is your beauty. And in his words, she feels whole again. Because God speaks through those who see the soul, not the shell. Relationships that last honor the spirit first. A woman who lost her hair to illness feared no one would love her again. But the man God sent kissed her bald head and said, your courage makes you the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. She wept, not because he wanted her body, but because he wanted her heart, her fire, her fight. This is love that lifts, not lust that fades. Even strangers can reflect this truth. A taxi driver once told a young man, I see kindness in your eyes. Don't let this world harden you. No one had said that to him before. They all noticed his clothes, his phone, his watch, but this stranger saw his soul. And the young man carried that blessing in his heart forever. In the workplace too, it happens. A boss who values not just performance, but integrity. A leader who says, I care more about who you are than what you produce. This honors the spirit, the real person behind the skill. It grows confidence that no paycheck ever can. And in romantic love, this is the final proof. When two people can sit in silence, no words, no touch, and still feel complete. When one looks at the other and says, I see the warrior in you, the dreamer, the believer, not because of the body, but because of the soul's glow. That's when you know this is divine connection. Because the body ages, the spirit does not. True love is the light that recognizes light. Spirit touches spirit. And that is the only beauty that will never die. So here you are, standing at the doorway of destiny, holding the truth that most of the world is too distracted, too hurried, too blind to see. You now know that God's way of showing you your soulmate is not through noise, not through confusion, not through wild storms of passion that burn bright and die fast. No. God reveals the one meant for you through peace, through quiet knowing, through the small signs you thought were ordinary, but were heavenly whispers all along. You see, your soulmate will not come dressed in perfection. They will not always look like your fantasy or speak like the smooth charmers you've met before. They will come as a mirror, flashing before you the truth of who you are and who you are meant to become. They will awaken your hidden strength. They will shake your fears. They will make you uncomfortable. Not because they're wrong for you, but because they're right for your growth. Real love demands that you become the version of yourself you've been too afraid to touch. Real love doesn't comfort you into smallness. It breaks you into greatness. Remember this, the one sent by God will make your soul feel peace long before your heart feels passion. The world teaches you to chase the fire, but God sends the warmth. The world screams for drama, but God whispers with quiet certainty. You will not need to chase. You will not need to beg. You will not need to force. You will simply know. Because when it is God's timing, the doors swing open without a knock. The right person will not bring confusion. They will bring clarity. Their energy will feel like sunrise after a long, cold night. They will fit into your life, not because they try, but because they were carved to be there before time began. And understand this: divine love is always unplanned, unexpected, yet deeply familiar. You won't meet them because you searched endlessly. You won't find them by hunting desperately. You will stumble upon them when you are becoming your best self, when you have surrendered the need to control life's path. God loves surprises. He loves showing up in the quiet moments of your life and dropping the miracle you never knew you were waiting for. When your hands are no longer clenched tight from trying to force things, His blessings pour in when you least expect it. There they will be. And the strangest part? They won't feel like a stranger. They will feel like home you forgot you had. Never forget, growth, not comfort, is the real sign. If someone makes you braver, if they make you dream bigger, if they make you want to heal your wounds and rise higher, it is not by accident. That is God's design. That is heaven working through human hands. And when you find this, hold it sacred. Because most people settle for comfort and call it love. But you will know the difference. You will know that true love is the soil where your greatness grows. Look at your life carefully. The signs you ignored are still there. The random songs, the quiet dreams, the repeated names, the strange delays. They were not accidents. God has been preparing you for this meeting long before you realized it. He speaks in the language of symbols. His hands arrange the universe while you sleep. His timing is perfect. And the moment you let go of fear and start trusting this divine process, you will see your soulmate standing before you, smiling like they've known you forever. Because they have. Your souls met long before your bodies did. And what matters most is this: the person meant for you will honor your spirit, not just your body. They will not fall in love with your curves or your clothes or your charm alone. They will fall in love with your courage, your kindness, your madness, your mission. They will see the battle you fought in silence. They will kiss the scars no one else noticed. Because God did not design this union for shallow pleasure. He designed it for sacred purpose. When they look into your eyes, they will see the warrior, the queen, the fire you carry. And you will feel something that cannot be faked, cannot be bought, cannot be broken. You will feel seen. So stay patient, stay faithful, stay glowing. You do not chase what God has prepared for you. You become the person who attracts it. Build your dreams, heal your wounds, dance in your joy. Because when the time is right and the soul is ready, love will find you. As they say, what you seek is also seeking you. Believe this, live this, breathe this. Because you are not waiting in vain. God is not late. He is simply writing a love story so beautiful, so breathtaking, so divine, that the whole universe must align before He delivers it into your life. Trust the process. Trust His signs. Trust the journey. Because the best is yet to come. And when it comes, you'll know, without doubt, without fear, without question,